It was a cold winter evening. It was about 8:30 p.m., and one of my friends had invited me over, and some of our closest friends to a sleepover. So I asked my mom, and she said yes, I could go. So I quickly put some clothes and a pillow into my backpack. I went to the door and told my mom I was going. Seeing as where I lived, everyone was nice and there was never any crime, my mom let me walk to my friend's house. She only lived about 10 minutes away from me, and I thought the fresh air would do me some good, seeing as I have been in the house all week. I said my goodbyes to my mom and little sister before leaving the house and walking down the street, and about 5 minutes into my walk I came across a graveyard that led into some woods. That then opened up to some housing where my friend lived, so I thought, what the hell, and walked through the graveyard, but as I was walking, something caught my eye. A woman was standing by an old gravestone looking down, but that's not what got my attention. It was her skin. It was ripped and scratched and looked like it was rotting away. Her clothes were muddy and ripped. Not only that, but they looked quite old. As I kept walking, the woman turned to look at me, and when she did, I was shocked with what I saw. She had no eyes, her face had cuts on it, and her hair looked like it was falling out. As I looked at her in shock, she started to walk over to me slowly. It looked like she was dragging one of her legs, but I didn't stay to find out. I acted quickly, and I ran to the woods, looking back every so often to see her still following me. I kept running, but it looked like she was catching up to me, making me... I panicked as I was running. I tripped over a rock that was sticking out of the ground. I hit my head on the ground, knocking myself out for a minute, or more. And as I opened my eyes, the woman stood over me, looking down, with her empty eyes making my blood run cold. I looked back at her. She brought one of her hands to my head, making me flinch. Her hand was cold, like ice. I looked at her and she looked harmless in a way, but looked so terrifying. At the same time, as I looked at her, I spoke shakily. Who are you? When I asked this, the woman tilted her head and removed her hand, and before I knew it, everything cut to black. All I could see was darkness before everything cleared up. I was in a ditch, but this ditch was about 6 feet deep. I quickly went to stand up, but I couldn't move. It was like I was paralyzed. I started to panic. When I looked up, I saw the woman looking down at me in the ditch before I felt mud being thrown down onto me. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. After a few minutes, I was covered in mud and everything was dark. Once again, I couldn't breathe. Everything was silent before I heard a voice whisper, "They killed me." After that, I opened my eyes and screamed. I was back in the woods, but the woman was gone, and I took that as my chance to run, so I picked up my bag and ran to my friend's house. Didn't tell them what happened to me that night, but still to this day, whenever I pass that graveyard, I still see her standing there looking at that old grave before looking at me and disappearing.